This is our current home.
And this is soon to become our new home.
And this is the biggest step we've taken as a family.
For the past 5 years, we've been living in Wales and planning our big adventure.
And our journey to reach where we are now hasn't been an easy one.
We started off with a little tiny coastal cruiser.
Then moved up to a small but capable blue water boat.
And then spent over 2 years rebuilding a steel 38-foot boat.
But then Oliver came along.
So everything had to change, because now I have a new brother. So we need a double cabin, and Steel Melody would not have been big enough.
So genuinely, we were kind of half looking out for a bigger boat, and the original idea was simply to keep an eye on eBay and see what came up.
We thought we'd probably sail to the Mediterranean and look for a bigger project boat there.
But by pure serendipity, and much sooner than expected, we found Ocean Melody on eBay.
So we bought her in the autumn of 2022 and had her in the water within just a few weeks.
We sailed her back up north to her hometown and spent the last few months getting her upgraded and fixed up.
Last week we took the big step of giving our notice on our house, so now we have 3 weeks left to move out.
And to be living aboard full time.
So this episode and the next few will be a mad dash to get rid of all our worldly belongings.
So with that in mind, whilst Melissa and Jack and Ollie are back packing up the house, I'm here doing as many jobs as I can to make the boat ready to live on. Nigel has just rung me to say he's arrived, so we're going to be using that tube roller thing to roll some tube with any luck. Here he is, Nigel's back.
Hello.
Nigel wants to unwrap this.
Yeah, I want to play with that.
Like a kid with a new toy. This will be one of our roof trusses, won't it, to go across the middle?
I think we should go for the bottom one.
Oh, right, you actually do the bottom
The big
one?
curve, yeah.
Right, yeah, and put one at the bottom as well.
Wow, that's working incredibly well.
It is, isn't it?
I'm very, very impressed by your viewer. I think he's a genius.
Excellent.
I like this. I am building myself one of these, that's already decided.
Look at that. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Now, the only thing we've got is it's twisting, see?
Yeah.
I want to twist that.
Yes, I see. Are the brakes on?
Yeah.
This is where the whole thing goes overboard. And if I take this and push this way as it comes out.
No, you're doing it the wrong way.
Is it?
Yeah, it needs to come.
It looks like it's coming over to me.
Yeah, it is, but this is where the action's happening, not up there.
So you need me to push it that way?
No, now you need to push it that way.
All right, okay.
Oh, too much. Come back.
I see. It's the washers. These washers here. Because when I moved that, the whole roller moved on its pin. That might have done it, you know, just pulling the washers over to one side.
Pull it. Give it a pull. That is a lot better now.
It is, isn't it?
It's like...
It was kind of skewing off to one side as it was
like
coming out the
this
rollers.
Roller wants to be further over. What we've got to do as we do it is guide it. Yeah, this is it's straight now.
So how do you cut the, you know, when you're taking the end of a tube up onto this, how do you cut the radius in the end of the tube?
I've got a notch cutter.
A notch cutter.
It's basically a hole saw.
Yeah.
You know your hole saws?
Yeah, yeah.
In my drill.
Yeah.
Set up at a straight angle and it holds it. Holds it straight.
Yeah.
And then, so what you've got to remember is, and I've made this mistake a couple of times, then gone, oh you idiot, is you want the hole saw to match the tube that you're notching to, not the tube that you're cutting. A bit further so it goes right.
Yeah, I'm just giving it a bit of a... We're going to take it out and try it?
Without a spring cut. No, leave it on. We're going to go all the way back on the same pressure.
All right.
A bit like on a lathe where you do a spring cut.
Okay.
You just make sure you've got that. Hold it. Oh, that's lovely and straight now. Took out that twist, yeah. We've just got to be mindful of that now. Right, now let the pressure off. Right, you jump on and grab the end and then I'll jump on. Right, you grab that. Right.
A long way to go.
No, we haven't. It looks like a long way to go, but it isn't. Yeah, I'm absolutely. I'm so impressed with that.
How are you going to get it in your car?
In the boot. A little bit over, but that's not bad. It's only a tiny bit.
Wow, let me just look at this. Look at this. That is amazing. Two perfect curves. One to go directly on round the fiberglass moulding, and one to go at the top of the double rim around the top.
Now we need a 38.
38, yeah.
Right, so now we've got the curves. These aren't long enough to go all the way around, so I'm going to have to add some on. Now we've also got this waste bit at the end where the roller will only, it won't curve to the end, and that's the same with all rollers really. What they'll tend to do in industry is pre-roll this first bit, then put it in, pre-curve it.
Yeah.
Sometimes in a press brake when you see them do plates, and then they'll put it in and do the rest of the roll. What we're going to do is, back at the workshop, I'll roll another piece of this 30mm to match that curve, and then, so this is our one that we want to extend. Hopefully on camera you can see that the curve starts about there, where it's good, and then you've got this flat bit. That'll get cut off, but we also want to be 300mm longer than what that is. So the actual curve wants to end about here. So once I've got a piece, I'll then just cut this where the curve starts, add a piece on to the length that we want it, and do it as an invisible joint where it's welded together, and then you'll end up with the full curve that we need. Because unfortunately the lengths of tube that we've got are not long enough to do it in one piece. But you won't see it.
No. And just to clarify for people who are sort of wondering, the final structure will have this length of steel flush with the actual fiberglass of the boat. Then this thicker length will be the kind of top rim with the legs, and then this one will be slightly higher.
Yeah.
So the roof section will actually have a double tube with short standoffs in between them. I'll put up a picture of Blown Away's frame to give you an idea. So it'll have two rims round the top, one rim round the bottom, if that makes sense, and then the legs. You'll see.
So these, like the others, will roll up and then they'll tuck away in behind this. It doesn't really show up on camera.
You'll see. If you can't picture that, you'll picture it when you see it on Nigel's channel and when it turns up back on our boat.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Nigel.
No worries. Now
Amazing.
we just need to worry about how do we get that lump in the back of my car.
So Nigel's taken the bits of tubing and the tube roller that we borrowed, amazing, back to his workshop, and he's cracking on with the tube bender. We're hoping to go sailing next weekend with some friends of mine that are visiting that I haven't seen for ages. So I'd like to prep the boat for sailing, and obviously there's all the other amazing huge list of things to do before we can move aboard and head off south. I've just emptied the cupboard under the chart table, and I'm going to paint that out again, just like the engine bay, just to freshen it up. I'm not going to spend hours and hours and hours on this. I'm just getting paint on stuff. So this isn't a huge chunk of the episode, just another job ticked off. Okay, so that cupboard is painted out. Let me show you. Here we are. It's looking all nice and white. And every little bit of paint smells better. The boat smells better with every little bit we put on. Now, the reason I was going through that cupboard, getting rid of smells, but was to look for this. And this is a big D-ring. I need to put a spreader plate or some big penny washers on it, because we want to put this in the forepeak, in the bulkhead, for the bitter end of the anchor chain, because out on deck, you haven't seen it yet, but out on deck we've got a brand spanking new anchor chain that we bought last week. Not sponsored, just paid for it, which was a lot of money, but yeah, ferociously expensive stuff, anchor chain. But we've got 70 meters of G4 or G4, G40 DIN 766 10mm chain, which is right for the Gypsy on our Windlass, and I'm going to cut to a clip of Pam Wall talking about that here, about making sure that you've got the right chain for your Windlass.
If you're buying chain, be sure that it's compatible with the Gypsy. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to tell you the 3 kinds of chain. You might want to write this down. There are 3 styles of chain that you can buy. One is called proof coil. Proof coil will always have a G, as in golf, 3 stamped onto it. It's a long link, and it's kind of a weak link. You will very rarely ever see any yacht that has a windlass with proof coil chain. You might see a boat that has no windlass with proof coil chain, because very few Gypsies are made for proof coil chain, mostly because it's not recommended for use on a yacht, because it's a long link that is heavy but weak, okay? And it's always got a G3. Then there's G4, which is high test. High test is a short link, an extremely strong link, and it's always got G4. And you'll see all kinds of Gypsies that are made for G4 chain. But it's also very expensive. What we have, this is what we call BBB chain, or 3B chain. It will always have stamped on it somewhere, either 3B or BBB, bravo, 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 to show that it is 3B.
So that's Pam explaining the whole Windlass thing, and I encourage you to go over and watch her video. She's amazing. I found this, and I've also emptied that cupboard. All the stuff's all over the bench there, because when we were moving the boat up from Dartmouth, I just took down everything that I thought I might possibly need and filled that cupboard full of stuff. And there's loads of stuff now that we now don't need, and we can either give away, sell, or throw away. So that cupboard is now going to be a lot more organised, and I just had to empty it to find that. Now it's too late in the day for me to start the anchor chain locker now, but at least I know where this is. What I am going to do, I think, before I go, is paint out this hanging wardrobe, because we're going to put some extra shelving. We're going to change the way that we store stuff. It's all part of making the boat into a home. Come and have a look at the hanging locker. So this here is our hanging locker. The pipe at the back there that you can see, the vertical one, that is the water filler for the tank on that side. There's some sketchy old wiring, which I'll have to go through at some point. Yep, that'll need doing. And there's a rail here to hang stuff from, and there's a light here. I think the bulb's gone, so we'll change that. That needs to be an LED anyway. I think what we're going to do is we see we've got the row of shelves on that side, on the left. I think I'm going to put some shelves on the other side so that we can store, you know, rolled up clothes. But at the minute, whenever we put clothes in here, they come out a bit stinky, because the old boat smell is kind of in the fibres of the wood, isn't it? And just painting it out will make it just seem that much nicer. So I'm gonna try and detach some of the trim if I can, otherwise I'll have to mask it off and get this painted out. Right, so I've painted out the hanging locker. Come and have a look. Now again, I appreciate this is just really, oh, I've gone over the edges of the wood a little bit, but that'll scrape off, don't worry about that. This is just to freshen it up. It's not a restoration, it's just freshening the woodwork and the paintwork. I've taken off as much trim as I can. I've painted that out. Don't worry about the fact I've covered up some of this wiring. I'm going to be ripping that wiring out and replacing it in due course. And I'm going to be rubbing this all back down at another time, and you know, when we're living aboard, I've got loads of time to do that. This is simply to make the boat just a bit more pleasant for us to move into as our kind of house. So right, that's me done for today. Don't go away, because I'm back again tomorrow and we're going to have a go at doing the new anchor chain and installing that. We've got some amazing chain length markers to put on, so I'm going to say bye bye for now. I'm going to be back, do one of those things where, you know, where you put the hand on the camera and then it goes black, and then it's all of a sudden the next day like this. Look. Okay, so I've got my new anchor chain attached to the anchor, and I've put a tape measure along the side deck so that I've got 10 meters, because we've got 70 meters of chain, so I'm going to mark it every 10 meters. For those of you that are in Imperial, it's about 30 something feet. I'll put that up on the screen. But what I've got, I don't want to use kind of cable ties because they snap and they end up in the sea. I don't want to use spray paints because I think it looks rubbish, and I can't afford a chain marker. So I've bought these. Now these are from a company called Anchorite. Well, there you go, focus there. And they come with markers, but you can perhaps see how they work. They're like a clamshell, and they screw together with a stainless steel screw. And there's loads of different colours there. Yeah, they go inside the kind of inside each link. You can get them for any size chain. These are the 10mm ones, obviously. And it says clean and simple, screw in fitting, won't fall back out, mark all positions with a unique colour, customizable reference plate, sets available sets available for 4 to 15 colours for 6, 8, 10, 12, 14mm chain. So that's pretty cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so we've got 70 meters there, and I've got enough to do loads. So I'm going to put these on and see how they come out. So the two parts of it screw together like this, and then you've got a little legend thing here which you can put a red tab in there and you're 10 for there. So red is 10 meters for me, so I've got that and that. I've just done one, but I'll show you another. So that goes in here, look, like so. Whoops. That goes in there like that. You see that from that side, and then this goes in top side, and then you've got a screw to hold the two halves together like that. Lovely. And see, now we've got, I'm going to put all the rest of these in for 10 meters, and we've got 10. So we're now going to have a time lapse, I think, of me doing all the different colours. Time lapse. Okay, so what I need to do is get the chain into the chain locker, which is this here, the whole of this front section really. And I'm going to put in a new bitter end shackle because that's interesting. Yeah, I'm going to put in a new shackle for the bitter end, and then I did want to build a new battery bay today to put my my batteries in here for my windlass, but I'm running out of time. Let's just get the chain into the locker. Let's get a new D-ring for the bitter end. Okay, I'm happy with that. I've got plenty of space there to put my batteries. Like I say, I want to make a proper base, and I'm going to make like a tie down for them so that they have no chance of moving around, but that's for another day. For now, I can put my battery in there and it'll be completely safe because we're just not going sailing in bad weather at the moment, so I don't anticipate those batteries moving around on a day cruise, but I do recognise it's an important job, so it's high on the list of priorities. Right, but the next thing is feed the end of the chain down, tie the bitter end to that shackle. Now I'm going to tie that on with a piece of strongish cord, and the important thing is that you never ever allow, when you're anchoring, you never ever allow the chain to go all the way to the bitter end, because that shackle there is not designed to take the weight of the boat at anchor. You're always going to have your anchor either on a bridle or over the gypsy, which is bad practice, but a bridle is the better thing to do. So so I'm not fussed about how strong that cord is. The cord is only there to stop the end of the chain disappearing overboard if you lose concentration and press the down button for too long and you feed your entire chain into the sea. So it doesn't need to be particularly strong, just strong enough to hold the weight of the chain. So that's now going to come poking through the deck. You'll see what I mean. Righty-ho. I wonder how much of that you could hear on my little radio mic. So I'm going to weave this in and out of 10 or 15 links, maybe less, because like I say, it's not holding the weight of the boat, this, it's just stopping the chain from disappearing overboard. I do have some decent quality rope rode, and I'm wondering whether or not to do you know what, I'm going to do this slightly differently. I'm wondering whether or not to put the rode on the end of the chain, or put some short chain that I've got, maybe like 20 meters of chain on the rode, and use it for my kedge, which I'll probably do that actually, and keep it in the stern locker. But these are all things that we can work out as we go, can't we? We can figure out what works for us and what's best. Yeah, I'm going to go up through them, down through the others. There's probably a right way to do this, and I'm probably doing it the wrong way, but I'm very confident the way I'm doing it, it'll be it's perfectly strong enough. So the other reason that you tie the anchor chain onto the shackle, which I neglected to mention earlier, is that then if you have a really bad situation where your anchor will not come up and things are getting very dangerous and you have to cut loose or something terrible is going to happen, you can come in here with a knife and cut this piece of rope. And yes, you lose all your ground tackle, which is bad, but I'd rather lose my ground tackle than somebody's life. And off the top of my head, I can't think of a scenario where that might happen, but I know it's a thing that does happen, and that's why it's common practice to tie the bitter end onto the D-ring. Just in case anybody was wondering, which I very much doubt you are. Right, so that's sorted. The next thing I'm going to do is feed my chain in from the top, and then we're going to connect up the battery and see if the windlass works better than it did. What I mean by that is, before the chain was jumping on the Gypsy for this windlass, and the reason for that is these are both 10mm chains, this one and the old one, but the old one is for the Gypsy for the windlass on Steel Melody, and I'd pinched the chain to sail this boat back up from down south, and it's 10mm ISO, whereas this new chain is 10mm DIN 766, which is correct for the Gypsy on this windlass. So there you go. And the difference was only a difference of 2mm on the inside diameter of the chain, on the inside aperture, and it just meant that the chain was jumping on the Gypsy. How weird is that, eh? So that's pink, which is 70 metres rather. Starting to rain. There's white, 60 metres. Orange, 50 metres. Blue, 40 metres. Green, 30 metres. Yellow, 20 metres. Yes, 20 metres. And that sits beautifully on that Gypsy. Right, so I need to connect up the battery now and give this a test. I'm also going to replace all these cables with some heavier duty ones. I'm going to put 2 batteries in here, and I want to put in a charging system. I've got some ideas for the charging system myself. I think I may run, because we've got quite a lot of lithium on board now, I may actually run a 240 volt charger, just like a car battery charger in the front here, which would do, I think. The other thing that I could do quite easily is run from the alternator and pair it up with my starter battery on a split charge relay, so that when the starter battery's full and we're motoring, we're then feeding power directly into the windlass battery. Plus, if the windlass is struggling a little bit, running the engine will give it a little bit of extra beef, won't it? So I've got 2 ways of doing that really, and I'm not quite sure how I'm going to approach it, but we'll see. Again, this will work absolutely grand, and then over time I may make some changes and improvements to it. The most important one of which, of course, is getting the batteries secured down into a proper tray with a webbing strap over the top, so that I can be absolutely certain that they're not going to come flying out and hurt somebody in the event of a big bouncy wave. The moment of truth, I think the isolator's turned on. Our remote is in here. Okay, that seems to be working. I'm going to take the strop off so that we're just on the chain, and what I'm going to do now is go fishing for shopping trolleys. I'm going to let the anchor down. It's going to go wrong, and then it's going to fail, and then I'm going to regret having done this. still seems to be jumping on that. Oh, it's coming out slightly at an angle, that's why. The hole for the hawser is 1/2 inch too far across. Anyway, let's see how we get on pulling it back up. Lovely. Works absolutely fine. Oh look, there's some mud on my anchor. I feel like, who's that guy that does all the anchor testing? The guy that I watched when I bought this anchor. And Anyway, yeah, the anchor's got some mud on it. It's been down to the bottom. Everything works. The windlass is working. So we've now got a brand spanking new Mantis 65-pound anchor with a brand new swivel with a brand new chain. All we need now is a brand new windlass. The windlass, incidentally, is very old and obsolete, and it's a thing called a Vetus Alex II, Alexander Mark II, or Alex II, and it's very old. It works fine. The issue we're going to have is that, although as obviously that anchor windlass works fine, but it's obsolete. So if stroke when it breaks, we cannot get it repaired. We can't get any parts for it. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, hey. But well, so there you go, guys. That's the end of another episode. It's getting a bit grim and gloomy and miserable. Oh, some seaweed. So I'm going to go home. Melissa's on the way to fetch me, but we've achieved quite a lot, and lots of little things this episode, although fitting the anchor chain was pretty hard work, let me tell you. Right, I wanted to say a massive thank you to Nigel for the stunning work that he's putting in on the solar arch. It's just amazing. It's the kind of thing that I could probably take on myself if I had to, but I'd have to MIG weld it, and Nigel is just a much better fabricator in every way, and I really do appreciate the time and effort and energy and expertise he's investing in this. So please go over and have a look at his YouTube channel, which is called Bleeding Rust, on the screen now, of course. And he's done several other arches. He's done lots of other projects for us in the past. So go and bump his subscribers up. He's only a little tiny channel, and we've got 65,000 subscribers on this channel. So why don't we just see if at least half of our subscribers, 30,000 of you please, or more, go and subscribe to Bleeding Rust and get his channel really raring and up and going and doing what it should do. So yeah, huge thank you to Nigel. And also, of course, thank you to everybody else that's helped us get to the point that we're at. Mike and Jane, we love you both very dearly. Paul, you're an absolute legend, need to see you again soon. And Andy Darlington and Tim and Chris and you know, Tom the legend from back in the day, and Danny the welder, and all those other people. If I'm forgetting anybody, I'll maybe put some more names on the screen, because you know what it's like when you try and thank everybody. But yeah, thank you to everybody who's helped us reach this point in our journey where we are literally 3 weeks away from being full-time liveaboards. It's a weird, emotional and scary and amazingly exciting thing. And all I can say is, if you're ever wondering about whether or not you can or should do something like this, do it, because you'll just look back and think, well, I wish I had. And I'm not going to do that, and we're not going to do that. We're just going to crack on with it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know, what's the worst that can happen? There you go. I'm rambling now, as usual. I love you all very, very much. You mean the world to us, our viewers. Your comments mean the world to us, and your likes and your subscriptions. So, you know, keep them coming. And finally, of course, thank you to our incredible patrons who contribute. It's about $3 a week. There are different tiers, but if you want to become a patron, you can sign up and do $3 per episode or whatever and cap it. And it just means that it's the difference between us being able to do this or not. So a huge thanks to our patrons. And for now, see you later, see you next week, and yeah, bye-bye.